On the night of October 21st, 2025, the small town of Ciénaga de Flores, Nuevo León, Mexico, was caught completely off guard. What began as a calm evening quickly turned into pure chaos when the skies opened up, unleashing a massive hailstorm unlike anything locals had seen before. Within moments, hailstones the size of baseballs started crashing down, slamming into rooftops, cars, and streets with incredible force. The once quiet town was suddenly drowned in noise, the deafening sound of ice pounding metal, glass, and pavement all at once. Residents said it sounded like 1,000 rocks hitting their homes over and over again. Streets turned white in minutes, windows shattered, and car alarms blared across the neighborhood. Videos quickly flooded social media, showing unbelievable scenes. Vehicles dented beyond repair, homes covered in thick layers of ice, and terrified families huddled inside, praying for the storm to pass. Officials later confirmed that this was one of the most violent hailstorms ever recorded in northern Mexico. A storm so fierce and sudden that many described it as something straight out of a disaster movie. Tonight, we're diving into how this terrifying storm formed, the destruction it left behind, and what it tells us about the growing power of extreme weather on our changing planet. By early evening, the town of Ciénaga de Flores was caught in absolute chaos. The sky opened up, unleashing a storm no one saw coming. Hail poured down in waves, loud, merciless, and unending. Within minutes, the streets disappeared beneath thick layers of ice as massive hailstones, some nearly the size of baseballs, slammed into cars, rooftops, and anything left uncovered. In the Bella Vista neighborhood, the damage was unreal. Car alarms wailed through the icy air, windows shattered, and the sound of tiles cracking echoed like distant explosions. Power lines drooped and snapped under the weight of frozen ice, cutting electricity across entire blocks. Locals described the moment as pure terror. One man said it sounded like gunfire hitting his truck, and when you looked at the dents, you believed him. Families hid under tables, praying their windows wouldn't break apart. In just 20 minutes, Ciénaga de Flores had turned into something out of a disaster movie. A frozen battlefield of shattered glass, crushed cars, and streets covered in chunks of ice. Even residents who'd lived there their whole lives said they had never witnessed anything like it. As the hailstorm grew stronger, panic swept across Ciénaga de Flores. Families rushed outside, throwing blankets and cardboard over their cars, desperate to protect what they could. But the storm didn't care. Within minutes, windows shattered, spraying homes with shards of glass and ice. The air filled with the roar of pounding hail and screaming wind. In the Bella Vista district, a young couple caught the chaos on video, hailstones tearing through their skylight. "It's like the end of the world," the man whispered, his voice trembling against the deafening storm. Across town, cars were wrecked, windshields shattered, alarms blared, and the streets turned into rivers of ice. For nearly 40 minutes, the hail came down like bullets. Cell service went out. Power lines sparked and fell. People trapped inside their homes texted loved ones in the dark, hoping it would soon be over. Emergency lines were flooded, but rescue crews couldn't move. The storm was just too fierce. And then, just as suddenly as it began, it stopped. Silence settled over the city. You could hear only the drip of melting ice. When residents finally stepped outside, they found their world changed. Rooftops crushed, cars smashed, streets buried in white. It wasn't just destruction, it was disbelief. It started like any other hot afternoon in northern Mexico, sunlight blazing, the air thick and still. But as the heat kept rising, something began to brew high above the clouds, something powerful. Meteorologists later confirmed that what hit the town of Ciénaga de Flores wasn't just a thunderstorm. It was a full-blown supercell, the kind that can spin chaos out of nowhere. Here's what happened. As the ground baked under temperatures soaring near 86 degrees Fahrenheit, a wave of cold, unstable air lingered high in the atmosphere. When the two clashed, it created a violent upward motion, like a natural engine firing on all cylinders. Tiny droplets of water were hurled miles into the sky, freezing into hard balls of ice. Each time they were tossed up and down through the storm, they grew larger until gravity finally brought them crashing back down. When the storm reached its peak, hailstones the size of baseballs came raining from the sky at over 100 miles per hour. The sound, like glass breaking and gunfire mixed together. According to Dr. Luis Ortega from Mexico's National Weather Service, storms like this are becoming more common. He explained that as climate patterns shift, heat and moisture are colliding in unpredictable ways, turning once calm regions into targets for violent weather. As he put it, extreme weather doesn't care about location anymore. It happens where the atmosphere decides to snap. When morning came, the scale of destruction was unreal. Streets were covered in piles of ice, shattered glass, and twisted metal. Nearly 400 homes were damaged, and hundreds of vehicles left dented or destroyed. In some neighborhoods, people shoveled hail as if it were snow. Right there in Mexico, the Bella Vista and Centro districts took the hardest hit. Roofs were punctured, store signs ripped apart, and transformers blown out by falling debris. Power crews worked through the night, while city officials scrambled to assess the damage. Yet, even in the middle of all this chaos, the community didn't break. Neighbors came together, patching broken windows, clearing driveways, sharing food. One local restaurant opened its doors to feed families whose kitchens were wrecked. "We can rebuild homes and fix cars," one shop owner said, "but peace of mind, that's harder to repair." Amazingly, officials confirmed there were no fatalities or serious injuries. A small miracle in the face of something so brutal. As the ice melted and the streets began to clear, what remained was more than wreckage. It was proof of resilience. A town shaken, but unbroken, standing strong under the same sky that once tried to tear it apart. In the wake of that brutal hailstorm, emergency crews moved fast. Local authorities wasted no time. Teams were out on the streets within hours, checking damage, clearing debris, and helping families who lost their homes. Power companies worked through the night, patching up downed lines and restoring electricity where they could. Meanwhile, city engineers inspected rooftops and drainage systems, making sure nothing else would collapse. Volunteers poured in from nearby towns with tarps, tools, and cases of bottled water. Public squares turned into small relief hubs where people came together, helping neighbors, comforting kids, and lending whatever they could. On social media, local groups organized rescue runs for elderly residents who couldn't leave their homes. One volunteer, while handing out blankets, said, "We're used to the heat here, not chunks of ice falling from the sky. But when something like this hits, we take care of our own." Businesses and schools stayed closed as city officials warned that more storms might follow in the coming days. Meteorologists confirmed that the atmosphere was still unstable, meaning the danger wasn't completely over. But even through all that chaos, one thing stood out: the community's heart. You could see it everywhere. Neighbors helping neighbors, kids sweeping the streets, families rebuilding side by side. In just one night, Santa de Flores was shaken to its core. But by sunrise, you could already see signs of recovery. Look at that, it's incredible. Despite the damage, hope remained stronger than the storm itself. What happened in Santa de Flores wasn't just a freak weather event, it was a warning carved in ice. For decades, northern Mexico was known for blazing heat and open skies, not for hailstones the size of baseballs. But as climate patterns shift and the planet warms, these extreme weather collisions are becoming more and more common. Experts say it's part of a bigger picture. Rapid urban growth, weak drainage systems, and record heat are making cities across Latin America more vulnerable than ever. It's a strange and dangerous paradox. Fire and ice, both falling from the same sky. For the people of Santa de Flores, the storm left behind more than shattered windows and flooded streets. It left a reminder that nature can humble even the toughest cities, and that sometimes resilience is the only thing stronger than the storm. It changed the way people here think about safety and survival. "We used to believe something like this couldn't happen to us," said one local resident. "But now, every time the sky turns gray, that night comes rushing back." The truth is simple: nature doesn't play by the same rules anymore. Each storm is a challenge, and every recovery is a reminder to be stronger for the next one. As the sun rose over Ciaga de Flores, the once white streets glistened with melting hail and shattered glass. The thunder was gone, replaced by the quiet drip of water and the soft sweep of brooms. Neighbors stepped out to check on one another, exhausted but thankful to still be standing. Children picked up bits of leftover hail, laughing in the same streets that had echoed with chaos hours before. The storm had shown no mercy, but it left behind a message too powerful to ignore. Even in places made for sunshine, winter can strike in a single heartbeat. What happened in Santa de Flores is a glimpse into our uncertain future, a world where the weather grows harsher, faster, and harder to predict every year. Tonight, this town stands as both a warning and a symbol of hope, proof that resilience runs deeper than any storm. If you believe stories like this matter, stories that remind us how fragile and extraordinary our planet really is, hit that like button, share this video, and subscribe for more documentaries about the power of nature, the courage of people, and the changing world we all call home.